Sandbaggers Case Files, a look back at the best spy show you've never heard of. Over the next few weeks and months, I'm going to review one of my favorite shows, a little-known British spy drama called The Sandbaggers. The show, which ran 3 seasons from 1978 to 1980 on the ITV Network, tells the stories of an elite team of intelligence operatives in Britain's Secret Intelligence Service, or SIS, their equivalent of the CIA. The 3-man team is officially called the Special Operations Section, but everyone calls them the Sandbaggers. They work for Neil Burnside, the SIS Director of Operations, or DOPS for short. Burnside is himself a former sandbagger, and he is very protective of his agents because of the inherent risks of their jobs. At any minute, they could be assigned to lift a defector, or find a missing scientist, or thwart an assassination attempt on a foreign leader. Burnside often butts heads with his bosses, Matthew Peel, the deputy chief of the SIS, whom Burnside regards as a toady and an opportunist, and C, the SIS chief. In the first 2 seasons, C is Sir James Greenley, a seasoned diplomat with no prior experience in intelligence. In the 3rd season, C is John Tower Gibbs, with whom Burnside had a serious contretemps many years ago. Burnside's allies include his former father-in-law, Sir Geoffrey Wellingham, the permanent Undersecretary of State at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and Jeff Ross, the very American head of the CIA's London station. Burnside trusts Ross more than his own bosses, a relationship that gets him into trouble quite a lot over the course of the show. What I love about The Sandbaggers is that it is a very gritty, realistic look at the inner workings of life as a secret agent. Unlike James Bond, there is very little glamour. The Sandbaggers are more likely to be sitting in their dingy office pushing papers than jetting off to exotic locations to save the world. Burnside must contend with political sensitivities that could derail his carefully planned operations. He spends more time fighting with bureaucrats over budgets than matching wits with fiendish Soviet master spies. As a result, Burnside is burned out, cynical, and deeply frustrated, which feels far more realistic, especially given the late 1970s Cold War setting. That's enough background to get you started for now. Episode 1, First Principles, starts off with a long, boring scene of Burnside walking and taking a bus to work. It sets the tone for the show, which has lots of walking and talking. Anyway, Burnside gets to work where he learns that Willie Kane, the senior sandbagger, also known as Sandbagger 1, is being tailed by someone. Burnside tasks Sandbagger 2, Jake Landy, to follow the person tailing Willie. Landy follows him back to the Norwegian embassy, and it turns out that the head of the Norwegian Secret Service, Lars Torvik, is in town and thinks it's a good idea to train his agents by following the Sandbaggers. Burnside pays a visit to Torvik to tell him to buzz off.
My officers have more to do than check out the antics of a NATO ally.
Peel isn't impressed either.
But the Norwegians? What have they got? 2 men and a reindeer?
But Torvik promises to share the results of an intelligence gathering operation with Burnside in exchange for training, and so Burnside agrees. But right away things start to go off the rails. Torvik shows up at Burnside's office with bad news.
My operation in Norway has gone wrong.
Torvik's operation involved flying an airplane along the Soviet border to pick up electronic intelligence, but a malfunction has forced the plane to crash land on the wrong side of the border. Torvik asks Burnside to mount a rescue operation for the stranded crew. Burnside doesn't want to send his men on such a risky mission behind Soviet lines, but Torvik has an ace up his sleeve.
If SIS does the Kola job, and quickly, the Norwegians will buy Nemesis. If SIS refuses, they'll approach the CIA and offer to take War Bonnet instead.
Good. Let them go to the CIA. War Bonnet's probably a better missile anyway.
Burnside has no choice, and he, Kane, and Landy work with the mission planning team to plot a route in and out that bypasses a spiderweb of Soviet military installations along the way. Kane is, shall we say, less than enthusiastic about the prospects.
Well?
Well, what?
You're my lead sandbagger. I don't expect you to behave at briefings like a spoiled child.
All right, you jump out of the plane tomorrow morning.
I did my time in the section, and as far as I can recall, I didn't sulk about it.
How many times did you parachute into Russia?
Look, if you've got mission twitch, you
If
should
I
have
didn't
spoken
have
up.
mission twitch on this, I'd be a right idiot.
Yes, yes.
Kane and Landy take off on their way to parachute behind Soviet lines, just as Burnside gets a call from Jeff Ross, the CIA station chief, telling him to abort the mission. But it's too late. There's no recall option once they took off. So Kane and Landy parachute in behind Soviet lines and make their way to the airplane. But when they get there, they find the plane is empty. Suddenly, it explodes. Kane and Landy put the pieces together and realize the CIA probably got there first and are leading the Norwegian crew out ahead of them. They pursue them and are just about to catch up when the Norwegians and their CIA rescuers are caught by Soviet soldiers. Meanwhile, back in London, Ross visits Burnside to explain why he told him to abort the mission. Torvik, it seems, has pulled a double cross. Believing that Burnside was dragging his heels on the rescue, Torvik went to the Americans and offered the same deal. If they rescued the downed crew, Norway would buy the American missile system. All ends well, though, as Kane and Landy hot-footed back across the Norwegian border safely, after which Burnside pays Torvik a visit in what is one of the most memorable and iconic scenes in the entire series.
One of these days you'll have a special operations capability of your own. So I've come here to tell you something. Special operations doesn't mean going in with all guns blazing. It means special planning, special care. Fully briefed agents in possession of all possible alternatives. If you want James Bond, go to your library. But if you want a successful operation, sit at your desk and think. And then think again.
I understand.
Our battles aren't fought at the end of a parachute. They're won and lost in drab, dreary corridors in Westminster. And hopefully in Oslo.
Yes. Well, thank you for being so restrained. Oh, you have a few minutes. Maybe we could take a drink together.
I've got nothing to celebrate.
Or nonetheless, I would like to buy you a drink.
Hey, Torvik, if I had a glass in my hand at this moment, I'd shove it down your throat.
Man, it does not get any better than that. If that scene doesn't get its hooks into you, then all I can say is, well, you're better off going to your library. In the next episode, Burnside has to decide whether the government's top scientific advisor has simply gone on an unplanned holiday or is planning to defect. That's next time on Sandbaggers Case Files.